Hello and welcome to the Golden Playbook. Today we are going to do a mock draft on ESPN. We are drafting out of the 9 spot. Today is going to be the start of a little series where we're going to do mock drafts on different sites to see how the ADPs vary from site to site. So you can see what guys you will get at a good value depending on what site your league plays on. We're going to go through all of the main sites, ESPN, Sleeper, CBS, Yahoo. Drop down in the comments what site your league plays on, and I'll try to do a mock draft on there so you guys can see what players are good values according to different ADPs. And of course, it'll be different on draft day. Your league members will do stuff that is more unpredictable. But if you're in a home league where people mostly pay attention to ADP on that site, you can get guys at very, very good value. A little foreshadow for the ESPN site. There are a lot of receivers late that are great values in these drafts. So we are in the draft lobby, picking out of the 9 spot, which I really like. You're typically able to get one of the top 5 running backs in the first round and still get a solid receiver in the second round. I'm going to try to load up on running back early just because I know the value will be there in receiver later. I've done a few of these ESPN mock drafts off camera. That's how I know the receiver values late are there. Drop down in the comments what your favorite start has been on these, as Jamar Chase goes 101, and that'll be the most case scenario. That'll be who goes off at the 101, Jefferson at the 102. It is looking good for us to get one of our running backs. All right, so pretty chalky first round. Chase, Jefferson, Barkley, Bijan, Jahmyr Gibbs, Puka, and we are next. We are going to get either McCaffrey or Genty, which is who we wanted. Hoping Genty falls to us, but we will see who Olivia takes here at the 108. And these 30-second clocks are killer for mocks. I would love it to be 20 seconds, but it's all right. Unfortunately, we do have couple auto picks between us, so that'll kind of throw things off a little bit. Goes McCaffrey, so we are going to go ahead and take Genty. Like I said, plenty of receiver value late. We want to load up on the running backs here. And this is a normal ESPN league roster build. 2 running backs, 2 receivers, tight end flex, and then 6 bench spots, which is what most home leagues will be. And we are on the clock in 1 pick. Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown are there. I think I'm going to go with another running back to do a strong RB build, and then we'll just pepper receivers later. And I personally like Jacobs over Henry. I'm going to take Josh Jacobs here. But this first couple rounds are pretty much going by the book. No major reaches. Nothing out of the ordinary quite yet. Bowers, the first tight end off the board at the 208. And you can see Bowers going anywhere, beginning of the second, end of the second, especially if you have tight end premium or some special settings. But even if not, Bowers and McBride are talented enough guys. They could easily outscore the wide receivers in this range. So that's a good solid pick at Bowers. I'm not one to do early tight end, especially from where we're drafting. I would never take Bowers at the beginning of the second. If he falls to the end of the second, I'm not afraid to go draft him, but not going out of my way to do it by any means. Lamar Jackson at end of the second round is very early, and that is something you could see in home leagues. A big name quarterback being drafted early. That's definitely not out of the realm of possibilities in a home league. But we like that because that means more running back and receiver values are falling to us. As Jaden Daniels goes as well. A couple of early quarterbacks, and surprise, neither is Josh Allen. So that is a little bit interesting. There, McBride goes at the beginning of the third. It's kind of where he's been at. I personally think McBride could have a better season than Bowers. So, I'm more likely to draft McBride over Bowers. Absolutely love it when they use the full clock. It's perfect. You should probably know who you're drafting at that point, you know? We see a little bit of a Lad McConkey fall. That would be great if he made it to us. If not, again, I like the receivers after him. Josh Allen finally goes at the 305. All right. So definitely, if Lad falls to us, we'll... Well, there he goes. Lad goes, so that was going to be who we were going to grab. If not, I'm tempted to grab Chase Brown if he's there and then begin... So, all right, they are... They know who we want, so that's a no-go there. Likely to grab a receiver then. Tyreek, if he could get back to what he has done in previous seasons, would be obviously a smash pick. I like Rice, I like Moore, I like Marvin Harrison. Also like Kamara down there, so Tyreek's there. We're probably going to grab Tyreek. Hopefully he gets back to 2022 form. And either one of these receivers that we like or Kamara will probably be our next pick. Although we got auto drafters here, so let's see, Jalen Hurts goes at the 401. Looks like we're going to have our pick of the litter here. Let's see. Running backs. There's just so many good receivers later. I'm going to take Kamara so we can have a nice trio of running backs and Genty, Jacobs, Kamara. And then we will hold off on drafting another one until the later rounds. And now we are going to absolutely be peppering wide receivers. I love the range of wide receivers that'll be coming up to us in our next pick. Definitely been seeing Terry McLaurin drop a little bit. I don't know if it's the contract concerns or he's just, some sophomore regression from Jaden Daniels. I don't know what it is about Terry, but he has definitely been falling in these drafts as he goes at the 408 there. Pretty good value, honestly. I'm a little bit lower on McLaurin as well, but at the 408, that seems like good value to me. Harrison at the 411. I think Harrison's in line for a huge bounce back season. Love Harrison this year. All right. If Cortland Sutton makes it, that would be fantastic. If not, we will have to do some searching. But Cortland Sutton is the target here in the 5th round. I think with Bo Nix, should have an absolute killer season. Let's see. I am way lower on Xavier Worthy than these guys. I think with Rashi coming back, Kelsey's there, all of the receiving options, I just don't think Xavier Worthy's going to nearly hit a ceiling. And last year he was like the wide receiver 31, which is nothing special. I think he's getting drafted way too high. Definitely a guy I'm lower on. Zay Flowers a guy I'm lower on. As Cortland Sutton goes 2 picks before us. Big bummer. But I definitely like Calvin Ridley. But since the 3 people after us are auto picks, which is a huge bummer, he will likely be there for the next round. So I'm going to go ahead and grab... Let's go ahead and grab Devontae Smith. What if the Eagles pass the ball a little bit more? What if A.J. Brown is not nearly as dominant as he has been? And then also, we knew we're getting Calvin Ridley here, who I absolutely love. I think Calvin Ridley is one of the better values in fantasy right now. Going to be a wide receiver 1, rookie quarterback coming in who has all the skills, all the intangibles. I think Calvin Ridley is going to be a top 20 wide receiver this year, and I feel pretty confident when I say that, as long as he doesn't get injured, obviously. Sam Laporta fell to the 6-7 there. A little bit surprising. But I think Laporta's been another guy who's kind of falling. There's a lot of mouths to feed there in Detroit. Same reason I'm a little bit lower on Jameson Williams than most. There's just too many mouths to feed in Detroit. Someone's going to get the short end of the stick. Last year it was Laporta who got the short end. What if he's more involved this year with the new offense coordinator, and maybe it makes Jameson Williams less involved? Who knows? But it's just definitely a lot of mouths to feed there in Detroit. As we are coming up, guys, I am looking at Henderson. If he falls, I doubt he will, especially with an auto pick coming. Been looking at Olave. Juwan Jennings, as long as the injury is not a concern, definitely intriguing. Not Scatabo, but Juwan Jennings. Diggs, I like. Jacoby Myers, I like. Like I said, tons of receivers that are great values. If somehow Henderson falls to us, that is a smash pick. But if not, we were going to have to make some adjusting. Cooper Kupp in the 7th round is just far too early for Seattle offense. I'm projecting to not be very good. He's getting older. Sam Darnold at quarterback. Not seeing it with Cooper Kupp this year. And Henderson goes 3 picks ahead of us. Not surprising, but definitely a bummer there. But like I said, we have the trio of stud running backs, so I'm very likely to go receiver here. A lot of these guys. Jacoby Myers might be highest in my rankings. I just have a feeling I can get him in the 8th round, so I wouldn't have to spend a 7th. So likely going to be going Olave or Jennings here, as Olivia is using the full clock, so shout out to Olivia. All right, Baker Mayfield goes. Let's draft Chris Olave and say, what if he doesn't get another concussion? What if Tyler Shuck is a stud quarterback? All things that could be good. Turns out we're really leaning into the New Orleans offense, so we would need that for this team to be good with Kamara and Olave. And we are going to go ahead and get our guy, Jacoby Myers. I've drafted him in about every mock draft I've done. His value on ESPN is far too good. Another guy who could be a top 20 wide receiver. With Geno Smith coming to town, we saw what JSN did last year with Geno Smith. I think Jacoby Myers can be the same guy for him. I think incredible value on Jacoby Myers, just because he's not a sexy guy, sexy pick. He's in Vegas where no one likes, the Raiders except for Raiders fans. Everyone else hates him. I think Jacoby Myers is a smash pick. Can way outplay his ADP this year. And now we've got a great 5 receivers: Tyreek, Devontae Smith, Calvin Ridley, Chris Olave, and Jacoby Myers. We can start looking at quarterback, tight end. Let's see. There's just so many good quarterbacks, especially in a 1-quarterback league. There's going to be guys till the end, unless you're in a league that really likes to draft 2 QBs or something. And then definitely tight ends, it's getting a little thin. I like the rookies, Warren and Loveland, but I also like guys later like Strange, Gesicki. I think Gesicki's an all-time value in the ESPN league. So let's go back. We are 3 picks away here. Guys I am looking at, like Charbonnet, I like Darnell Mooney, I like Tyjae Spears. These are all guys I like. I would like to get at least one of the 2 in Sharb and Tyjae Spears to kind of solidify that running back room a little bit. And then if we do get Darnell Mooney, that'd be a bonus. I think he's another guy who's just an incredible value at this point. Caleb goes 1 pick to survive. So we are going to get one of our guys here. And then we can look at either tight end or Darnell Mooney in the next. As Olivia goes ETN, I'm going to go ahead and grab Charbonnet. I think he has a clear role as the RB2. Could even get some good run. When Walker's healthy, and when Walker inevitably goes down with injury, Darnell Mooney proved last year exactly what he can do. As Darnell goes off, let's see. Do we go Loveland? Honestly, I like Tyler Warren more. So especially if Daniel Jones is at quarterback, Tyler Warren, I think is going to be an absolute stud. So, and there's wide receiver values I like later. Honestly, probably pretty good with the running backs we have. Could maybe take one shot in the dark later, but we are going to grab quarterback. And I like these guys, May, Prescott. If you want to try McCarthy or Stroud, I like. Lots of good quarterbacks. With this team, since we didn't grab a stud quarterback, I wouldn't fault you for grabbing two, especially if it's a league where people hold on to two, so the waiver wire is a little bit thinner. I could absolutely be fine with grabbing two quarterbacks, and maybe that's what we'll do. If you're in a league with defenses and kickers like this mock, grab them in the last 2 rounds. Do not waste a pick on them early. Kicker in the last round, defense in the second to last round. Do not waste a pick on them like your league mates probably will. As we see in the 10th round, defenses are getting drafted. It's unreal. Unreal. I know it's probably just auto pick teams in this, but trust me, if you're in a true home league, defenses and kickers will get drafted before the last rounds, and it's just letting values drop to you. So you are rooting for that, trust me. All right, so there's, lots of quarterbacks remaining that we like, so we're going to wait on those. We can see what running backs, receivers we want to take stabs on. Like Brandon Ayuk right there is just crazy. Josh Downs, another guy who are great picks. Grendo goes off. So we are going to try. We have plenty of wide receiver depth, so we're going to grab Brandon Ayuk and say, so what? So what if he's out for first 4 games? What if he comes back and performs like the old Brandon Ayuk? Then we have an absolute stud wide receiver. And then let's grab quarterback here. Let's grab Drake May with the rushing upside. And then with this team, we will probably grab a second quarterback. Just say the New England offense doesn't take the step that we want. We'll have another option to go with, hopefully like a Dak Prescott or a CJ Stroud. And then also if a guy like Josh Downs drops to us, that would be a smash pick at receiver to round out our group. We would have an excellent receiver room. And then we'll see what we do with the last pick. Look, there's defenses and kickers being drafted all over the place. I realize it's auto picks happening, but if this happens in your home league, you just be silently cheering inside because values are dropping to you. Could you imagine drafting a kicker over Josh Downs? His value in ESPN leagues is unreal. Imagine even these receivers and running backs over Josh Downs is just insane to me. You can get very, very solid wide receiver values late in these ESPN drafts. Keep that in mind when you're drafting in the early picks. Even if there's a stud receiver you love to go with, the running backs there are going to be better typically because you will get these wide receiver values to drop too late. So hopefully Josh Downs drops to us. We'll grab him in this round. Then we'll grab Dak in the following if he's there. And then our defense and kicker to round it out. Couple picks to survive, most of them auto picks. That's the bummer with ESPN. People are just wanting to draft the cool guys at the beginning and then they dip out. So it turns into a bit of an auto pick fest, but we will grab our guy Josh Downs and then let the autos run. Hopefully Dak's still there. Dak goes, which is fine. We'll grab CJ Stroud, who I'm expecting to have a bounce back season in his own right. So this is what we're working with. Quarterbacks, we have Drake May and CJ Stroud. Running backs, we have Ashton Genty, Josh Jacobs, Alvin Kamara, and Zach Charbonnet. We'll be looking to pick a guy up. Receivers, we have Tyreek Hill, Devontae Smith, Ridley, Olave, Jacoby Myers, Brandon Ayuk, and Josh Downs. That is a studly group, and we have lots of depth in case of an injury. Probably could have went another tight end as opposed to like Josh Downs just because we have so many good receivers. Grabbing like a Gesicki, who I really like, and kind of bouncing back between Tyler Warren and Gesicki based on matchups. But I really like this team. This feels really good if I was drafting this team heading into the season. And we will just play out these last 2 rounds, defense and kicker, and we will be on our way. Drop down in the comments what your favorite pick is, least favorite pick. Guys you are much higher on than the ESPN site. I mentioned a couple of those guys for me, Jacoby Myers, Josh Downs. A lot of these late wide receivers I'm much higher on than the ESPN ADPs. Drop that down in the comments. We're going to finish up this draft getting a defensive kicker. Make sure you hit the like button while you're dropping that comment and hit the subscribe button if you want to see more of these mock draft videos comparing the different sites. Obviously, I know a lot of people play on ESPN, but there are definitely other sites, CBS, Yahoo, that I mentioned earlier. We are going to do mocks on all of these sites so you can see where the ADPs line up. And we are going to round it out. Not that guy because he's not good. Go Cairo Santos to round it up. With that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Rate the team down in the comments 1 to 10, how you're feeling about it. Appreciate the support. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.